So yeah, we're gonna start today with variables, what they are, how to use them, best practices, things of that sort. So right here in the logic menu, we have variables. We have our basic variables, we have our advanced variables, we have our lists, and then we have our variable operations, which we're probably not going to get to that one today. But we're going to focus on basic variables, our lists, and maybe a little bit into advanced variables as we go on. A variable, I guess we're going to gear this towards people brand new to the space, have no prior coding experience of any sort, and just kind of build on top of that. So a variable is like a bucket or a box to store some kind of value in. So we have all these different variables in MindsEye, actor, boolean, color, gameplay item, number, player ID, string, transform, vector 2, vector 3 that for some reason got placed all the way over there, and a vehicle spawn ID. These are all of our basic variables. The way these variables work is they're all here to store some kind of value. Right? Each one has a type of the type of value that it stores, and it will hold a reference to that value for as long as you need it to. So for instance, if we have an actor, right? So if I go out here and grab a vehicle, let's just do a regular vehicle, and I need a reference to this car, right? I can store a reference of this car into an actor variable, which means anything that I need to do later on that references this car, I can now reference through this variable node instead of needing to reference the car directly. So if I needed to do something like a drive to node to have this vehicle drive to somewhere, I can feed this actor as an actor reference into my drive to node. Now my drive to node will reference this vehicle because this vehicle is the actor that is stored in my actor variable. We do the same thing for numbers. So if I just want to store a number to use in multiple places, say for instance, I have a timer. I want this timer to count for 10 seconds, right? I can go put the 10 seconds right in the timer. Or I can also store that 10 seconds in a number and feed it into a timer. So if I need to use this number somewhere else, I don't have to try to extract out of this timer somehow. So something like, if I need to know, while this is counting down, the total length, because I have remaining time and elapsed time, which I could just add those numbers together to get the total time, or I could just reference the total time that I've put in. If I wanted to put like 10 out of 30 seconds or something on the screen. So numbers, actors, let's grab the string in here. The string, same thing, right? If I want this as a string, I can set that text on the string. Now I can pass that variable. I want some kind of alert. We'll use an alert, right? I can now pass that custom string into an alert. If I need to reuse the string in multiple places, I don't have to keep typing it. I can just keep connect. If I need to store a color for some reason, which colors can be used for things like UI. So if I have like a UI shape, and I want it to be red, right? I can set red to this color, then feed this color into the UI to give me a red shape. To just demonstrate that real quick, you can see the color is white here. The color here is red, and it's going to pass that on the start. If we start this, we're going to have a red square in the middle. But we had our red square with the black border because we didn't override the border. But you can pass the color into the border color as well, which means you can change the color of the squares, or I guess the shapes, they're not all squares, and the border colors. Then Boolean, same thing. Boolean just kind of stores a true or false value. This is going to be used for, you can use these with the branch nodes. Alright, so if I have a value and I need to check what that value is, I can feed this into a branch node. And then trigger if it's true to one thing, if it's false to another thing. You can have other things determine what this value is. Yeah, pretty basic variables there. Then down here we have our vector 2s and our vector 3s. So vector 2 is a two-dimensional location. So it has an x and a y value. This will be primarily used for like UI things. So if we get our text UI again, or some kind of UI thing. Can we not use? Maybe we can't use the vector 2s for these. Okay, there we go. So x and a y. I can use it for my shape to give it its size. So basically, if I'm using a custom size here where I have my x and my y for the size of the node, I can feed that in from a vector 2, which means I can dynamically update the vector. That's one of the things that you can do here with the vector 2 nodes and the vector 3 nodes. You can override the x and the y value. The vector 3 nodes, you can override the x, y, and z values from a number, which then means you can dynamically change either the x or y value of the vector 2, which then can dynamically change the length and height, or the width and the height of the shape on the UI. Vector 3 is the same thing except for in 3D space, so it's an x, y, and z value. This is primarily going to be used for positioning within the world. If you want to place something at a certain location, or if you want to store something's current location. We have nodes like get actor location. Right, so I could feed in the actor from this vehicle, and then store spawning enemies at that location, or anything else I need 3D space for. Now, these vectors aren't just for location. They can also be used for rotation. So if you use a set actor rotation node, you can feed in a vector 3 as your rotation, because again, it's just an X, Y, and Z number, which means it can feed the X, Y, and Z coordinates of a location or a rotation, because they're both just take X, Y, Z groupings of numbers. So your vector 3 can be used for position and rotation. Scale's just one number, just one scale. And then lastly, I guess not lastly here, we have a transform, which a transform is a collection of two vector 3s, one for location, one for rotation, and a number for scale. So if you come up here, there is a break transform node. So if I have a transform and I want to break the transform, I can get the location, the rotation, and the scale. So if you ever need all those values, you don't need to use get actor location, get actor rotation, and get actor scale. You can just get the transform and then break the transform into the values that you need. And then vehicle spawn ID. One important thing to remember is that when you connect variables, let's not use the string, let's specifically use the actor here. If you connect a value to a variable, so here I have the vehicle actor connected to the set value of the actor, that will store that actor value in the variable, but it will not emit it out of the onPush value unless you activate it. Specifically when the automatically send value is on never, which is the default for all of the variable nodes. So if I update the value and I don't activate, the onPush value doesn't change. If you change this to on game start, then whatever this value is at game start will get pushed out. But then any updates to it later on will not get pushed out unless you activate them. And then whatever value changes means anytime anything pushes anything to the set value, it doesn't have to call to activate, it'll automatically send this out. But this can be used for a few different things. If you just want the variable to always push out the value no matter what it's updated to, you can just leave it on whenever value changes, and it'll automatically push out the value on the onPush value, and the onTarget data set event will trigger as well. If you have on never, that means that I can store a value here and emit it later, right? So I have this timer finishes, I can activate it there. It's going to push the vehicle actor just the same on the onPush value, but it's not going to push it out until this timer's done. So that is an important thing to remember, is that if your automatically send value dropdown is on never, you have to activate the node.
If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.